This is Rock and Roll Grad School with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling. Would you like us to assign someone to worry your mother?
Hello, kiddies. We're going to have a good time together because we're talking ska. Can you be sad listening to ska?
I think it's hard, right?
I think it's kind of like there's the Steve Martin bit about how you can't be sad playing a banjo.
Right.
I think ska's the same way.
I think that's probably very true.
And our timing is so fortuitous because, yes, they have a new record coming out. I just got an email today from our friend who introduced us to them. Their new single featuring Tim Armstrong from Rancid, which we talk about in the interview, is now available wherever you get your records. So, synergy. I know. Now, we have to talk about something you found on Twitter. Do you want to set this up?
Yes. Are we talking about from our friend the Demon?
Yes, I'm the not the Star Child.
No, the Demon. Although this child could be the Star Child because she's the greatest kid ever.
She could be.
Yeah. So Gene Simmons, one of my favorite people to follow on Twitter, posted yesterday an adorable video of a little girl who's 5, who has determined that her birthday party should be entirely dedicated to the God of Thunder.
So, of course, Gene would be completely down with this as a party
he's completely down with it. And he was all sentimental and sweet, and you know he's going to send her something.
Oh, my, of course. But this got us talking. We were texting about it a little bit last night and then said we have to save this for the show because we need to go over. So if you are having, if this 5-year-old has inspired you in any way and you have thought, I would like to have my own God of Thunder themed party for the child, whatever child that is in your life. What games, Captain, exactly, what games would you, Kiss themed games would you play that are appropriate to play with children? And so I believe, what was the one I suggested last night? Of course.
Yeah.
Blood spitting and fire breathing. How far one can do that.
Right. There should be a lick it up contest, obviously.
Obviously. Yeah, so many of the other ones. I mean, again, I wonder what she makes of this band. If she hears room service.
Sleepover, right?
Oh my
if it's a sleepover, like whoever rocks and rolls all night and parties all day wins a prize.
And maybe that's part of it too. It's some sort of obstacle course where you are rolling a bit and then you have to, some sort of rock wall, some sort of climb, something
Trivia,
like that.
Where you have to shout it out loud for the answer.
Oh, that's a very good point. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, so far I think licking it up takes the cake as far as activities.
I mean, licking it up is...
Yeah. And maybe you have a special guest appearance by Beth at the end.
Right.
Yeah, she finally was able to hook up with the boys.
I know. Or maybe she gets like anyone at the party named Beth gets a phone.
Or even, I explained to the elder, I was all ready to explain to the elder if he asked what Christine 16 was about, that it was about loving an older woman, because to him, obviously, 16. And so it becomes a little less lecherous. A little, not a lot.
A little, yes.
And when I saw them this past fall, a bunch of people in our section were singing along Christine 60 as a way to make it a little more appropriate.
Oh.
So I don't know if there's some way to... And maybe it's sort of a red light, green light with Christine, and you've got to go 16 paces. I don't know. There are choices. So,
there's got to be something with a piñata. I don't know why, but I feel like there needs to be a piñata.
Yeah.
But I do want to adopt this kid. I mean, she has a wonderful family. She does not need to be adopted. Like, she's clearly got the greatest parents ever. But I do feel that perhaps I will leave part of my legacy to her.
Your vast estate.
Amazing.
I was just confused because normally when you see children who are members of the army, they go so hard in the other way.
Right, it's true.
You get the airbrush T-shirts with Catman on it. You get the face paint. You all, and to see this child, she looks completely normal and, like you said, sweet. And it's very disconcerting because, and I mean, it just shows, I guess, the reach of the army and that
Yeah,
they've conscripted so many throughout the years.
this is true.
Yeah. Huh. I mean, maybe, like you said, knowing that Gene will be involved, I bet they're probably going to FaceTime with Dr. Love, right?
Oh, they're totally going to FaceTime with Dr. Love.
Yeah.
For sure.
No matter how far I run, I always end up back here. No matter how far I go, I always end up back here. Took me 2 years to write this song. I wanted it perfect.
So you guys are in, was it Raleigh tonight?
Raleigh right now, yeah.
Let's see. How's the tour going so far?
So far, so good. I mean, the Flogging Molly fans have been very welcoming to us. It's nice to see all of our fans and their familiar faces.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just nice to be back out here playing concerts again.
And it's a cool package with the Skins opening and then Tiger Army, some Flogging Molly. Like 4 kind of very different bands, but it works together.
Right.
Yeah, it seems like that is a good collection of folks. And you're playing, I know last year I saw you on the Hella Mega tour with everybody. Do these venues feel downright intimate after playing ballparks?
Anything after the break of not being able to do concerts for 2 years, it feels intimate.
Yeah, even
Yeah, fair.
the baseball stadiums was like
Yeah.
a little intimate. And also, like, being able to tour with Green Day, somehow Billy Joe is able to make those shows feel intimate, even when there's 30,000
Certainly.
people in a baseball stadium. He gets the people in the nosebleeds in the palm of his hand, and it's awe-inspiring to watch him work a crowd.
Yeah, and it feels like you guys are like moving up, obviously. It's a kind of double bill tour for this one. So you guys have a little more time on stage, like you said, more familiar faces in the crowd. That's got to be great and encouraging as you guys finish up the new record and just keep moving.
Yeah, it's a good way to kick off the cycle for this record.
Yeah.
So when did you find the time to record this? Because you guys were, like we said, all summer last year, you're out.
Yeah, so we finished the Fight the Good Fight touring cycle in February of 2020. We got home, had a couple weeks to relax, and then Kevin and Amy went in and started writing with Tim Armstrong, who was going to produce the new record, and we had studio time booked with him at his studio in March of 2020. We went in for one day and started recording, and then day 2 we were on our way, and we all got text messages that said the whole world's shutting down, let's take the weekend off, see what happens. And that was the start of the pandemic.
Right.
So, we couldn't end up going back into the studio with Tim. It didn't really make sense, so we hunkered down at home. We had a little rehearsal room in our garage that we completely flipped on its head and converted into an actual recording studio.
So we spent maybe 2 months doing a bunch of construction and getting the room and squeezing tiny house style, fitting every piece of gear we had in there.
It's a 10 by 20 room, and we fit.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a piano and organ, there's a whole couch, there's all the gear,
There's a whole drum set. We ran the guitar amps through the wall onto the other side of the garage is split in half, so the other side is all storage. But on the storage side, we built isolation boxes to put the bass amp and the guitar amp in, so that we could record live, because that's how we like to do things. So,
Wow, that's an HGTV show in and of itself.
Oh, I know. Kevin put together a short little a TikTok reel.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
of us doing it, but it was a lot of fun because we didn't, we're sitting on our hands doing nothing during the pandemic, just binge watching TV, which gets boring after a while.
Yeah.
So when we ended up having a meeting about hey, we have to record a record. We don't have a deadline, but we should start working on it. How do you guys feel about building it out and all this? We all collaborated with the ideas, and it was just a lot of fun to just get outdoors and just cut a bunch of wood and start drilling things together.
And did these songs, did they change at all as time went by? Since obviously you had a little bit larger window than you initially thought. Did stuff change in a way that it hadn't before?
Yeah, so while we did the construction for the studio, and then around the same time we started working on a film documentary. We put out Live in Tokyo, kind of like just have something out, and then with that live concert we put together the This Is My Family movie, which has like documentary stuff in between. So while we were spending like a month working on that, we were all going back into like our childhoods in the past and our musical experiences and really reliving these things and trying to like tell our story. And while we were doing that, Amy realized there was a ton of things from her life that she hadn't written songs about or been open about, and she was kind of ready to do that. So working on that movie kind of informed the record, where like she was able to, there's a lot of songs on here where she's way more open and way more like, she's always been an honest person with her lyrics, but there's something about this new record where it's just, there's brutal honesty, just so much truth to it. And it's pretty much her life story. So I think that really helped inform the songs. And then once we started recording, it was just the four of us in that tiny room, working these songs out, working out every idea. No idea is a bad idea until you try it. And then you're like, okay, that's not gonna work, you know? So it was really cool to just have the four of us bounce ideas off and work things out and have them build that way.
And I'm assuming too, like as great as Tim Armstrong is a guy to work with and collaborate with, when it's just the four of you staring at each other going, oh God, what do we do here? Kind of the, you got to come up with an answer to that. And you don't have someone else to say.
What we always go to in those situations is, what would Tim do?
Yeah.
What would Tim do in this situation? What do we think Tim would say in this situation?
Yeah.
So he's always there, like guiding us in some way or another.
Yeah, totally. Because we've learned so much working with him, and he gave his blessing for this. And, you know, Kevin actually produced this whole record. So he kind of took the steering wheel and just put us in the right direction. He let Amy record the record how she wanted to, where like there wasn't ever like a, hey, you have to sing this song today or we're not going to get to do it. It was kind of like, what do you want to do today? She's like, I don't feel that one, maybe this one. Or it could be 3 a.m. and she'd be like, hey, I'm feeling this one, let's go record that. Kevin would make a cup of coffee at 3 a.m. They'd go into the studio because it was literally 20 feet behind the house, and she could record it. Yeah.
And it sounds like a much healthier way than can say like Exile on Main Street being recorded in a, we can go downstairs at 3 a.m. and record this right now.
Yeah, exactly. It was very freeing.
Yeah.
You know, there wasn't any pressure.
And very relaxed. There was no deadlines. Like we had the Hella Mega tour like postponed to last summer. And so we were recording before that, but we were completely had no intention of finishing the record before that tour or anything. We were just like, let's just keep recording and get it to the point where we're happy with it.
Yeah. We even brought Kevin brought some of the studio stuff on the Hella Mega tour.
Mm-hmm.
He would set up in the dressing rooms in the back, and he would do some edits or some,
we did some
vocal overdubs on a couple of things.
Like Hershey Park, City Field.
Yeah.
We just did vocals backstage.
That's excellent. And can you hear that stuff now when you listen to the record? Is it like a scrapbook more than any other record is normally a scrapbook of a time?
Sometimes like we have a song and there'll be like these oh, and I'll be like, hey, that was done in Minneapolis where the Twins.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like, so it is a little bit of a scrapbook, but obviously we're the only ones that really know the particulars about where things are recorded. But definitely, there's that nostalgic aspect of being like, wow, I remember standing backstage at City Field and recording this vocal.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, everyone knows about the relationship between brothers in rock and roll, and it's been overly discussed. When we interviewed Chris Franz from Talking Heads, we talked to him about that communication that perhaps a bassist and drummer might have with each other when they've slept together, and how many other bands might do better if their rhythm section just had a cuddle every once in a while. Do you guys think your relationship has it helped the music? Are you guys like the Robinsons? Are you throwing stuff at each other? Or are you pretty even keel and...
No, we're very close. We're definitely, we like to say we're a cheat code when it comes to a rhythm section. We've literally just been playing drums and bass together with each other since we were like 6 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
And Kevin has always been the one that like the two of us would look up to because he's just a couple of years older than us. But we play music as children together, and then
there's definitely an unspoken communication. I mean, as far as us go as twins, I mean, scientifically we were one being at the beginning, and then we split into two.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So
there-
take that, Everly Brothers.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You know, he told a funny story recently. So when we were recording the album, there's one song we did, it didn't make the record, but we were experimenting with some things while we were doing it, and they put me outside of the studio. They closed the door on me. I was just outside with a snare drum, and I think I was playing brushes, but it was just me sitting on a stool playing a snare drum outside in our backyard. They were in the studio with the door shut, and I had headphones, so all I could do was hear them. We recorded a take, and at the very end of the song, there's no click track, there's no count off, there's no cue, but me and Justin end the song. Bam!
Wow.
Together, completely in unison. And Amy, we stopped the track. Amy goes, "How the fuck did you guys do that?" We can't even see each other. We're like, the
internal clock.
internal clock. We can still feel each other's energy through the door. Like
Yeah.
we're still only 15 feet away from each other.
Yeah.
Have you tried playing with other people, or has it always just been like, well, I know where this guy's going to be when I need a drummer or a bassist?
We've definitely played with other people throughout our careers, but there's nothing. You could definitely find the stronger connection.
Yeah.
You always come back to the family.
Yeah, this is the right combo. Right?
Yeah. And as far as like all those brother or family bands where like they're notorious for like fighting and like not getting along, we're so far beyond that. Like if there's a problem, we address it and it's squashed like immediately. Yeah. We know we have common goals, common perspectives and all that. So there's none of that like Gallagher style stuff.
It's why we all think Oasis will reunite one day. We're like, they gotta reunite.
Yeah,
one
they're
day,
brothers.
right?
They gotta reunite.
You would think, like, what the hell do they do with? I guess they don't have Thanksgiving, but like, what are they? They're gonna see each other.
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird too, just because that whole thing of like, well, we're all trying for the same thing. We're trying to make a good record. We're trying to have a good show. Like, how can we be at odds that greatly over something we are all in agreement that we want to accomplish together? Have you guys been working in the new material into the sets every night?
Yeah, so the two that have already been released, In the Mirror and Anything Was Better, are both in the set right now. We're still, learning how to get them out to perform them. We're still we're still learning them as. It's funny, as a band, we're more like an athletic organization than a band sometimes. But we record every show that we play. Like, we're on in-ear monitors in our system. We can just hook a computer up to it, record the multi-track, and then we put up GoPros for the shows. And we'll walk off stage, and whatever there is like, what happened in that song? We're like, I don't know, take it to the tape. And then we'll sit backstage and we'll bring it up and we'll listen to it, we'll watch it, and we'll fix it. It's like watching a play when you're playing on a sports team or something, like trying to figure out the defense or whatever. And so that helps us a lot of just like trying to perfect every little detail of playing the new songs, because playing new songs is frightening. Like, most of the songs we've been playing for 10 years, 8 years,
You got
6
muscle
years.
memory. You're playing with my eyes closed, not looking at the neck.
Yeah.
I gotta hit this note. Okay.
And playing the music is one thing, but we're all singing too. Like, the whole band has vocal mics, and so that's a whole nother part of the brain that you gotta turn on and figure out. Like, especially as a drummer for me, like I got 4 limbs going, and then I have to be singing in pitch and with the right, inflections and all that. Yeah.
What's more nerve-wracking, getting ready to get in front of a massive crowd of thousands of people, or watching a replay tape of a performance you just did?
With your band members sitting there, yeah.
With your band and family. Let's not forget your family sitting right there.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because sometimes those things will get brought up, and like, I'll just keep my mouth shut. I'll be like, it was me, but I don't want to say anything because I'll wait for the tape, because maybe it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was me, but let's see. And then, yeah.
If there's a mistake of yours coming up on the tape, you're always like, everyone's going to look at me. And then you just think, oh, yeah, that was me. I know. That one's never happened before. It won't happen again.
Yeah.
See, that's when I just distract and be like, oh, hey, did you guys watch this episode of whatever last week? So they didn't even hear my screw up. Can I get everyone coffee?
How do you guys go about putting together your set list? Does it change every night? And especially when you're trying to work in new songs that, like you said, the 2 that have been put out, maybe not everyone has heard already, and trying to work it in so you don't have that thing where...
So with the 4 of us, it's a heavy topic of conversation, especially before the tour. Before
the set list did change from the first show we played on the tour.
it did,
It
yeah.
evolved a little bit.
But also, as far as like the whole set list, since we put out that live record, that's like a comedian putting out his set and then having to write a whole new set, you know. So like, since people can buy a live show of us and listen to it, we don't want them to come to a show and feel like I heard that on the record, you know, like why are they playing all these songs in the same order? Why are they saying the same jokes? So before this tour, we had an extended period of rehearsals and figuring out a set list. I think we went through about 4 or 5 different full hour-long set lists of like, because they're in blocks, like 3-song chunks and stuff, and sometimes we'd play it all the way through and they'd be like, that third chunk, maybe that third chunk should be the second chunk. And then, yeah. So,
but one of the best things we learned from touring with Green Day was always play your best set.
Yeah.
So like it's always good to try new things, but make sure that you're giving the audience your best performance possible. So the changes are minuscule, and like maybe we'll do one day, another one the other day, and then they'll cumulatively add up to like changing the whole set. But one day we're not gonna one day just like flip the set on its head and be like, we're gonna do this today, because it could throw off the rhythm, and then like maybe the audience is happy with it. So
and like we're not the Dave Matthews Band, we don't have to play a different set every night.
Right. But there's that fine art of threading the songs together where they connect and they kind of have a communication on their own. And then also on top of that, like you said, having it in an order that is sort of surprising and interesting for the audience, but, you know, has all those songs that everybody wants to hear. Because you've got a nice little catalog of stuff that I kind of feel like when I saw you guys, where I'm like, well, they got to play this and this and this and this. And like you're getting up there on songs that you kind of have to play if you want to leave the gig alive.
We've tried to be more active on social media and asking our fans what songs they want to hear. So like, I think before this tour, we put up like a blank set list and we said, fill in your dream set list. And then we get dozens and dozens and dozens of submissions. And this guy would go to the list and he'd tally them. And so we'd have a master list of tallies and be like, all right, you want to know what number 1 was? And then we'd know. We'd be like, okay, so like,
these were the top 5 songs. These were the bottom 5 songs.
Yeah, so the bottom 5 songs we just sweep away. We're like, no one obviously wants to go to it. But then, you know, we pick through the list and we're like, okay, well, it seems like this one's popular. We'll look at Spotify numbers, you know, because that always helps.
We had a tour once where we just had a part of the set list that said requests, where like we were just Kevin would just be like, we're going to take the request, and people would scream out songs. And maybe we had a good amount of songs that no matter what they called out, we could be like, oh yeah, we know that one. Let's do that.
But were there any surprises, like any favorites that ended up in the bottom 5? We're like, we can't cut that one. It's our favorite.
You know what? We put out a cover during the pandemic of a Joe Strummer song called "Get Down Moses," and it was for a Joe Strummer birthday celebration, and a friend of ours asked us to do it. We recorded the song, we filmed the video for it, put it out. This was in August of 2020, and it was so well received that when we were doing the submissions for setlist for this tour, I think it was in the top 5.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Like, wow. But we already have covers in the set, so we're like, we can't really do that. We don't want to have too many covers in the set.
Yeah,
I was surprised, by how many people were like, "You got to play Get Down Moses."
Well, eventually we will.
We'll work it out at some point.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I'm sure growing up, you guys at some point turned to each other and said, I hope when our new record comes out someday, we're going to be in the Netherlands. Are you going to change the set list from, you know, when you end in the US in July and then open in Europe in August? The record's going to be out. People have heard it.
Yeah, potentially, because once we start touring in August, the new record will totally be out.
Yeah,
right.
Like we're not ready to perform a song that no one's heard yet, because we don't want that to be the first experience. We want people to be able to listen at home and then come to a show and be like, oh, I know that one. So once we start touring in August, there'll be a few songs that I think we're going to try to work in.
And also in August, when we're in Europe, we're doing a lot of festivals, but those will be our first solo headline shows for the cycle, because obviously this is a co-headliner with Flogging Molly. We're both playing an hour. But when we go to Europe, we're going to have to extend that a little and probably play like 75, 80 minutes. So there'll be some additional songs, and definitely some of the new ones. More of the new ones.
Is there anything on the record that you're really excited to play for folks? Because having heard that record, I mean, also, we should just take a moment and note, you said that it's Amy in a lot of the songs talking about things that have happened in her life and that she hasn't addressed them previously. Like, this is a fun album to listen to. It is not, you know, it's not too heavy.
Well, that's one of the great things about our style of music is we like to be uplifting and happy, but we got to talk about some serious things sometimes.
Totally.
The kind
I
of
totally
birth of,
agree.
I mean, the origin of ska is that exact thing. So,
Yeah.
is there any song on the record that you're really anxious to play and kind of for folks to hear? Because for me, Kiss the Ground, I really, really dug when I heard that.
That one's going to be really fun.
That one will be fun.
Yeah.
To look at. I think the single that we're releasing when the record comes out, which I guess
The focus track is going to be Raised by Wolves.
yeah,
Mm.
that one.
I love that one. That's my favorite.
Yeah. We're putting out another single. I don't know when this will come out, but this week we're dropping Jailbird as a lyric video. This is a lyric video, and we ran that at a sound check the other day, and it sounded all right. We still got to work some kinks out of it, but it was a lot of fun for the first time to play that on a stage.
Yeah. But so actually more direct answer to your question. The song that ends the record, Alien, first interrupter song with no guitar on it. So that one is going to be really interesting and I think really fun to figure out how to perform it live to the people. Yeah. It'll be a part of the set where we probably break it down a little more because it's the ballad. But that one, I think that one's going to be really cool.
Or who knows? Maybe the live version is different than the record version, and we play a heavy guitar. We'll see.
Mix it up. Nobody gets to slack off on a live show. No taking a break with no guitar. I was at the Mandalay Bay walking through to the pool yesterday, and there you were, giant sign of you guys coming to play.
That's where this Flogging Molly, it ends there.
Yes.
The last one.
I was like, hey, there's my friends, my future friends. That was pretty awesome.
Concert. You get to be like knee deep in the pool.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like one of the best venues ever. Hall & Oates had an amazing show there years ago.
We saw them at the Hollywood Bowl once. It was great.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. For this, so I'm going to apologize and make Luke have to cut it out because I joined late. But
Thank you.
why, when you're, going back to as kids, getting all together, figuring out what you want to do, what your dream band's going to be, why did you go this route instead of the route of like the Hanson brothers?
I think it's just
the way it worked out. We definitely tried doing like a trio band with the three of us, but none of us are good enough singers to like lead a band. We're better behind someone that's a really good singer. So
our vocals are better for support.
Yeah.
Yes. And why this genre? Why the sort of ska punk?
It's just honestly it's what we grew up listening to. Like we grew up listening to the Epitaph records and Hellcat records and Fat records and and then you find those bands and you're like, wow, I really like, Bad Religion. Who inspired them? And then you go back and you're like, whoa, the Ramones, Clash, like these are great bands. And you just keep doing that. Like then you find Rance, you're like, wow, Rance is great. Whoa, they play ska. What other bands play ska? Then you go back and you find the Specials, and you're like, whoa. And then you go back further, you're like, well, the Specials are actually playing
Justin Decker songs.
Yeah, or like this Prince song, like from '60s Jamaica ska. So it's always just that journey of searching and trying to really understand your favorite artists and follow in their footsteps in some way, right? Yeah. And it just made sense. Like the first record we recorded, we went into a studio. I think we had a little like 25 ideas, and we went in, and just the three of us brothers in 2 days recorded 18 instrumentals, and they were all ska. There was no punk at all. It was just straight up 18 ska songs. Those got dwindled down to what I don't know. I think we ended up using like 9 of them, half of them. Yeah. Half of them are still just sitting on a hard drive, probably one every single night a day. But then once we got those down and we started playing a little more, I was like, hey, we could actually, the sound we have, we can play punk. We don't have to just play upstrokes. We can go Ramones downstrokes, like fucking charging forward. And I think every record we've progressed a little with the full sound. And even with the new record, Amy likes to say, as far as like the lyric content, she's like, now we're like on our 4th date. Like the first record's like a first date. You don't really let people.
Yes.
It's just surface conversation. How's the weather? Whatever. And then like the second record, you let them in a little more. Third record, you started to tell them about your childhood. And now all the baggage is out. Fourth record, all the trauma is being laid out there. I'm trying to make that connection with people, you know?
To go back to we were talking about working with Tim Armstrong, what was it like the first time? I mean, you mentioned Rancid, but also Op Ivy, like, I mean, so influential and so in an American ska and bringing that kind of combination of these things together. Just being his presence must have been overwhelming. Or am I just projecting onto you how I would have felt?
Definitely in the early days, it was nerve-wracking, but Tim's such a sweetheart that it was never, there was never like,
It was never intimidating.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd all worked with him before we started the band. He had a Tim Time Bomb and Friends project where he was doing a song a day. And so Kevin did a countless number of those. Justin and I did a handful of those too. Amy sang on a bunch of them. So we were already working together with him in a studio setting. And then when he took that on tour in 2013, we all went on tour with it. And Interrupters opened, we played Tim Time Bomb and Friends in the middle slot, and Rancid headline. So we always had a good foundation with him, so our working relationship was just always fun.
And he's like, we like to say he's like the fifth interrupter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, he's our brother, you know?
That's amazing.
It is crazy to think, because I still listen to the Rancid records all the time. Like, I'll put on a record, I love this record. And then, like, I'll have a moment of disconnect where I forget that I know the guy.
Right.
I've had that moment too, where we've all been roadies for them too, for certain things, that I guitar tech for once. And I think I was standing on the side of the stage working for them in like Belgium. And they're playing Ruby Soho, and I kind of started to get a tear in my eye because I'm like, and they're like, wait, I'm working. I can't listen. I can't be sentimental. I'm supposed to be working right now. But I couldn't, because the songs are so good and they mean so much to us that it's just, it's wild. We pinch ourselves
That's
every
awesome. I'm glad you guys feel that way, because we feel that way like when we talk to you or anyone, like the guys from Air Supply, anybody we talk to, then we hear your music and we're like, wait, that's our friends, which is, I know, kind of weird that we now consider you our friends, but we do, and we tell everyone we're friends. So, but we won't stalk you. But it's like the craziest feeling.
But if you meet anyone, be cool, okay? If it comes up, just play it cool, please.
Yeah.
You know that old saying where people always try to say you shouldn't meet your heroes?
Right.
It's been proven so false for us.
Yeah.
Like, we've met so many people in this industry that we looked up to and admire, and it's more often than not, it just proves why we're here and doing this and why we want to play music, is because, I mean,
Totally.
the people we looked up to are just as amazing as we imagined.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think I can think of a single person that I was like, that I wish I didn't meet. Everybody that we've met,
Wow.
and like we've been fortunate
That's
to
awesome.
play with, you know, besides Rancid, with Bad Religion, The Offspring, Blink-182, Green Day, all these bands that were massive for us as children in the 90s. And they're all like, we just run into them at festivals, or shit, we ran into Dexter Holland at a birthday party recently, and he was like, hey guys, how's it going? And we're like, good, what are you doing? What's your schedule? We just started talking about touring and recording and shit, and we're like, this is wild.
The new single from the Interrupters, As We Live, featuring Tim Armstrong from Rancid, is available right now. The full-length album, In the Wild, comes out August 5th. For more information, check out their website, wearetheinterrupters.com.
You can check us out on all the various socials. Be sure to visit our website at rockandrollgradschool.com, and don't forget to leave us a review.
Today's show is produced by myself and Heidi Hegquist. Our reluctant producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thank you, good night, and may all your favorite bands stay together.
As we live, this is the time to love. In the fall of the Western civilization, leave the bus and arrive at the station. Music vocation, stereo citation, peace and love.